from the Temple Mount in two directions. One to the Mediterranean, westward, one through this valley to the Dead Sea to revive its water. Because the Dead Sea, as I will share with you the day after tomorrow when we will be there, the Dead Sea dying in front of our eyes, vanishing. But I will blah blah about it later on. My friends, geologists checked, with sonar and with other means of, of checking it. They checked and they saw that there is a fault. Yes, that's the word I will look to. Thank you. A fault which runs from the Temple Mount, believe it or not, all the way to the Dead Sea, to the Rift Valley, which is all exactly confirmation. It was here all the time, probably. Yeah? Exactly, confirms the Bible, and it just waits for the earthquake to happen. My beloved, it is said that, clearly that when Yeshua will come, when his feet will touch the Mount of Olives, it will be while a great earthquake. That's what will divide the mountain, actually, yeah? Yeah. That's why the Jews bury their dead over here. It is filled with Jewish cemeteries, okay? Because the Jews believe in the resurrection from the death, yeah? And that's why they place it here. My beloved, as this brother said, Yeshua was very, very much familiar with the place where we are now, yeah? Because this was the place where he stayed most of his nights. Actually, אחי, בחייאתק. אתה יכול אחר כך, אני מרשה לך, אבל אל תפריע לי באמצע. אחווי, אוקיי. Okay. Friends, if you want to shop, do it later, okay? Later. Okay, where was I?
3 days.
Yes. Only one night Yeshua spent inside the walls of the city. And this was in a dungeon, in the five-star hotel called the Dungeon of Caiaphas. Yeah? And it's pity it's not on our itinerary and we don't have so much time. I will show you how a dungeon looks like. Yeah? Not real, the opposite of 5-star hotel, -5. Okay? Friends, so where did he spend most of his nights? In Lazarus, Mary and Martha. Remember? In Bethany. Speaking about Jewish roots, my beloved. When was Jesus crucified?
On a Wednesday.
What?
On a Wednesday.
Okay, I see that you made some. I didn't mean this. I didn't mean the day. But which Passover? I mean, again, Jewish roots is the Lamb of Passover, right? He is the fulfillment of the Lamb that, with whose blood the people of Israel were out of Egypt. Remember? My friends, Yeshua needed to fulfill every jot and title, yeah, of the scriptures. Now, remember what happened before the people of Israel in Egypt sacrificed the Lamb of Passover? The what? No, this is after the sacrifice. Okay? Praise God, it was after the sacrifice. But what happened? How God instructed the people to deal with the Passover lamb? He says, each household, listen, it's not blah, blah, blah. It's very important for you to know your connection, your heritage. This is your heritage, my beloved. The Torah, the teachings of Moses are your heritage because they lead you to salvation. Friend, it says that every household should take a lamb and hide it or keep it for 4 days, from the 10th of the month to the 14th. Do you remember it? And in those 4 days, he should be checked. No blemish should be found in it. Exactly what happens with Yeshua. He comes 1 week before the Passover here. He is hidden from the crowd in Bethany, Bet Aniah, the house of poor, or the house of poor bread, as the Israelites ate poor bread while they were slaves. So he's identifying himself totally with the Israelites. Even Bethany, it's not a coincidence. It's the house of poor. Okay? And then every day, the 4 last days before he was crucified, every day is checked by the leaders of the Jewish nation. Remember, they're questioning him and they don't find any blemish in him. You understand? You see the picture? And then Passover comes and he's crucified. My beloved, why do I blab about it here? Because Bethany and Bethphage, which means, by the way, the house of the unripe figs. Beit, Bethlehem, Bethphage, Bethany. Beit means a house. Bethlehem, the house of bread. Bethany, the house of poor. Bethphage, the house of poor, of unripe figs. By the way, in the house of unripe figs, Yeshua kills the unripe figs, fig tree. Okay, you see the connection? I do believe that the Gospels were written in Hebrew first. Because there is this play in the language. Word game. Play. Anyway, Bethany and Bethphage were located are still located over there. Of course, different names. Over there, there are Arab settlements. So Yeshua would cross from there over here. Now, you remember, just while coming by the bus, I told you, look at the road to your right-hand side. The road that we will take today down to Gethsemane, I don't believe it was the road that Jesus took. Because Jesus would never, as a Jewish rabbi, would never go to the temple via a cemetery. He would be defiled. You understand? Okay? So I think he went on a parallel road. Very, very near to where we are walking. So where are we walking now is the traditional Byzantine walk from the 4th, 5th centuries. And you know, the Byzantine Christians did not care much about their Jewish roots. Actually, they cared very much to cut their Jewish roots. And you inherited much of the Byzantine Christians. And you know what? I want to put myself also in your favor. We inherited much of it. Okay, friends.
This will be a panoramic view across the Kidron Valley from the top of Mount of Olives, looking out across the whole city. Coming into the scene now, the Dome of the Rock, where the temple had set, Temple Mount there, and this cross. The walls of Old Jerusalem and the Byzantine Empire. Back down across the valley, and then the Valley of Hinnom off over there. This is being photographed from the Mount of Olives. Here's a graveyard on the hillside of Mount of Olives.
Okay.
Don't you know that I'm
Okay.
They know it.
We don't run away for him. We're looking for my living. I don't bother you. Don't bother me. This is my living, okay?
I know, it's also my living.
Okay.
I work now.
We don't care. This is my
disturb me.
living. Everybody want to make living.
Okay, I want you guys to stop.
Okay?
God bless you. Thank you. Okay. Friends, let's read now.
It's not. I am not staying in your home. Am I
But
staying
you
in your home?
disturb me, my beloved. You disturb me.
Don't trust him. I give him commission. He stay 2 hours.
We're working down the Mount of Olives.
Be careful. Just this is all.
Yeah,
If I give him commission, he stay here 1 hour.
again from the Mount of Olives, the Temple Mount, where we were yesterday. That's the court area, the step area where yesterday we sat where Jesus had taught.
Have you?
Yeah, just push that.
Okay.
The Dome of the Rock, right there. Again, we were in a graveyard among the tombs,
Here she comes.
still overlooking the city.
It's over there.
Just not. But if you paid him, if he paid you a commission,
By
he
the way-
would have stayed. You would
By
have
the
stayed there
way,
for $2.
by the way, totally humbly, I say that in this case is right. In this case is right. I don't like to give them job because they robbed my tourists. One day they robbed my tourists for Brent Avery, $700. because he was a stupid tourist. Stupid disobedience. I mean it. I'm not acting like your father that you need to obey me. But you know, be wise. I'm experienced, you know. So be enough wise and humble to say, okay, if Rami tells us something, he knows what he's talking about. Yes, something very important I wanted to share with you, but I had so many obstacles there, I couldn't. And I wish Evelyn, but you can share it with them also. Friends, the crucifixion. I know that the main two versions of the crucifixions are, number one, the Holy Sepulchre, and I can show you the Holy Sepulchre from here. You see the Dome of the Rock? Just above it, behind it, yeah? You can see few gray domes, yeah? The biggest gray dome is the Holy Sepulchre, or the Golgotha, according to the Catholic, Greek Orthodox, you know, Orthodox Christianity. They believe that this was Golgotha, okay? Nevertheless, the Protestants believe that it was the garden tomb. But I want to tell you that none of them fit the scriptures so much. Because in the scriptures, and I told you I'm going to shock you in this too, so be patient. By the way, I'm not at all sure that I'm right, or that the one that I read, his opinion, is right. So what, I just give it to you to think, okay? And by the way, I don't think really that it does matter if we know the exact spot where Yeshua was crucified. Praise God, we don't know. But I want to tell you one more option, which sounds interesting. Mount of Olives. Why? You remember at the crucifixion, the commander of the 100, you know, the minister of the 100, how do you call it? The centurion. The centurion sees, or those around the cross, they see the veil being departed into two. Remember? The cotton veil at the temple, which separated between the Holy of Holies and the other parts. Remember? You remember the graves are opened and dead are coming. You remember the earthquake? Now there is a biblical pattern. As the people of Israel were delivered by the blood of the Lamb in Egypt, the people of Israel, which you belong to, were delivered by the blood of the Lamb 1,000 years after, right? Or more than 1,000 years, 1,400 years ago. God help me with the line of thoughts. Yeah, so there is a pattern. As Yeshua came, and in his first crucifixion, first coming, there was an earthquake, so in his second coming, there will be an earthquake. Where was the earthquake? On the Mount of Olives. Where will be the earthquake? Now, my beloved, where people could see graves are opened, if not on the Mount of Olives. The only place that the people of Israel liked to stand where we stood, was the Day of Atonement. You know why? They loved this day because from the only place where they could see the high priest entering the Holy of Holies, opening the veil, was from here. The only place in the crucifixion where people could see the veil departing was from the Mount of Olives. You see what I mean? No, because here we are overviewing, you know? We are elevated compared with the temple.
There wasn't a top on it. There wasn't a roof.
No, you saw it the model when I took Uriel with me, remember? You see it open, but you saw a door. This door should not be there, it was a veil. So the veil... Exactly, you see what I mean? So, and another thing which was not less important, in Jewish rabbinical mind thought, you know, Yeshua, it's written in the book of Hebrews, I think, let's join him. He encourages us, the believers, as Yeshua was taken outside the camp. You remember? Outside the camp, this terminology is a rabbinical terminology. You must get to your head that those who write the scriptures, the New Testament, are Jews. They are coming from Jewish background, okay? Including Yeshua. And when he said Yeshua was taken outside the camp, always it was east of the temple. Also in the tabernacle in Knesset, always east of the tabernacle. Clear? So like Yeshua was taken outside the camp, if this is the camp, yeah, the city of Jerusalem, it should have been here. Now, I might be wrong, so what? But it's interesting thought that maybe the crucifixion took place on the Mount of Olives. Maybe. Exactly. Thank you very much. Uriel put it in another, it's more simpler and clear words. The entrance all the time, the entrance to the temple, yeah? To all the temple courts, the main entrances were facing east. And by the way, the glory of God in the book of Ezekiel comes through the eastern gate. Right. And then the eastern gate, now I'm coming to you, is blocked, closed. In the book of Ezekiel.
Yeah.
I do believe that Yeshua, while crossing in this triumphal entrance that we read now, I believe again it's Rami Danieli, I'm flesh and blood, sinner saved by grace. So you don't need to take it as a word of God, okay? Pray about it. I believe many believers say historically correctly that the Muslims, you see that this blocked two-arch gate over there? The Muslims built their cemetery just in front of it, down to its feet, and closed it. Many years, many hundred years after Yeshua. Why? Because they knew the Jewish tradition that the Messiah should come through the eastern gate, the gate of mercy. But I say something else. I say the Messiah already entered, and that's why it is blocked. See what I mean? And anyway, the graves could not keep the Messiah outside. I mean, by the speech of his mouth, he could do away with it, you know what I mean? With this defiled place. So I do believe that the Messiah, just in this passage that we read, yeah, that he entered the temple through the eastern gate, through the gates of mercy. Okay? Okay, friends, why did I brought you here? To show you Jewish method of burial. If I would now drop dead from heart attack or whatever, yeah? According to Jewish tradition, listen carefully, unless my wife is abroad with her parents in Switzerland, my wife is Swiss originally, yeah? Or unless, you know, some of my close relatives cannot be, you know, achieved by phone, yeah? Tell him, Rabbi died, come, yeah? If everybody is available, yeah? Within 2 or 3 hours, I'm already 6 feet under. Because from dust you came, to dust you will return. As quicker you will fulfill God's commandment, yes, so to speak, as quicker you do God's will. You are dust without the Spirit, you should be in the dust. Clear? So as quick as possible. Jews do not put their dead in the refrigerator. Honest? No. Listen. Exactly. Listen. There is an exception, of course. Again, if my wife is in Switzerland, of course, if a soldier dies and his parents are in a tour in Thailand, of course, he can be 1 week in the refrigerator, in the freezer. Okay? But, or if they want to operate him, how do you call it, this operation after death? Autopsy, yeah? Of course, I mean, there are exceptions, but if everything is normal, if they know that it was heart attack or old age, that's all.
Okay, we're looking toward Jerusalem again. And there's the eastern gate that has been closed by the Muslims. Through that, the Messiah will walk through when he comes back.
It's not for ventilation, it's rather every anniversary, every year you make it, you know, how to say, day of commemoration, yeah? And you come and you light a candle, okay? And just that it will not be blown away by the wind, they put it in this window. Very practical window, okay? So friends, if you don't have more questions, let's go to get...
It's one of the flower settings as you're walking down to the Garden of Gethsemane.
I hope you enjoy this walk. Oh yeah. This is the back of the Church of All Nations.
This is where we're entering the Garden of Gethsemane here. Through the gate. trees.
Olive tree. 5 minutes. But maybe they want to see the church. Okay. Restroom is outside there.
Outside the gate?
Yeah, outside the gate you go a little bit up and to the left. You know me already. I used to tell you. I hope the truth, yeah. I mean, whether it is the place, it is the site or not. I mean, for instance, yesterday we visited 2 sites where Yeshua really walked. The steps, not traditional believed to be very sure, but the real thing, yeah. Gethsemane is one of them. In my opinion, the church is not accidentally built here, but this is, in my opinion, the Garden of Gethsemane because it fits what the Bible tells us, the description that the Gospels give us. You know, they say literally that he crossed. You know, after the supper, the Lord's Supper that you will experience today in the afternoon. After they sang some psalms, they went down to the Kidron Valley. They crossed it, yeah, into a garden which was familiar to them. Okay, the Garden of Gethsemane. What Gethsemane means in Hebrew? It's 2 Hebrew words which were transliterated, okay, into English and other languages. Gat shmanim. Gat, olive oil press, okay, or olive press, or oil press. Shmanim, plural for oil, olive oils, okay. Gat shmanim, the olive oil press. Now, friend, it's very, very interesting to see that Yeshua was crushed like an olive. This is, by the way, I will explain you on the Golan Heights. Wait patiently and you will see Gethsemane, real Gethsemane there. It's Katzerin, a place called Katzerin. I will show you the different procedures, you know, stages in olive oil production. Very interesting. First of all, you pick up, of course, the olives. October, November, yeah? Then you put them on a stone, yeah? And then there is a wheel made out of stone, which crushes them. And then they are squeezed inside baskets, and by weights they are squeezed, okay? Squeezed and squeezed and squeezed till all the oil comes down and drained into a vat. Are you experienced in olive oil production? Maybe some of you? You are totally industrial, high-tech
Just olive
society.
oil consumption, not olive oil.
Off the grocery shelf.
Yes, exactly. And of course in the grocery store they don't make it, yeah? Just sell it. Friends, when you pick up the olives when they are juicy, yeah? In November, when you squeeze them even with your fingers, not even crushing them, you will see that the liquid is not whitish so much. It's more reddish, tends to be more reddish. Isn't it interesting that Yeshua sweated with drops, like drops of blood, in the olive press? Yeah? It was his last trial. Now I share it with all of my tourists that I have many problems in walking with the Lord. I have many, weaknesses, that I keep falling to them, But I love few scriptures in the Bible. Now you will think that I'm crazy. The scripture that I love the most is David and Bathsheba. David fornicating with Bathsheba, yeah, and sending her husband.
You go right at the corner of that. Speak this way, then maybe everybody can hear.
Ah, you cannot hear me?
Another group coming.
But you need.
Where was I? David
David.
Bathsheba.
Thank you. David and Bathsheba. By the way, most of David's psalms, if you are honest with yourself, you can identify with most of what David wrote in his psalms. Where are you, God? Why every 4 psalms are quite depressive? He starts as in a depressive way, and of course later on elevates himself by worshiping God. Forcing himself to worship God. There is something in it, okay? Even when you feel bad, and from experience I say, and I feel lousy. Who are you at all that I will worship you? And then I start to worship and breakthrough. something in the heaven happens, yeah? But the passages in the Bible that I love mostly is David and Bathsheba, David falling with Bathsheba, Peter's denial, yeah? And this passage. Not my will, but your will. Yeah. My beloved, Yeshua, if it would depend on him, he would not go to the cross. Am I right?
Right.
Otherwise, why to say not my will? Or why to say, let this cup, take this cup away from me? Why? Two reasons, my beloved. One is more spiritual and one is natural. Naturally, it's not so nice way to die on the cross. It's the most cruel thing, It's much more, painful than electrical shock. Because some of those who were crucified, we can trace it in the history, used to hang on the cross many hours, sometimes up to 12 hours. Yeshua was blessed that only 3 hours he was on the cross, or so, yeah? So friends, the pain itself, but also the spiritual pain because he took all our sins and all the world's sins upon himself, and as such he became, for the first time in his life, entire life, he became a sin. Am I right? It's the Bible, it's not my interpretation. And God can never look at sin or deal with sin. So God did forsake him on the cross. Yeshua didn't play a trick, a gimmick. Oh, God, quoting David. God really, I believe, for the first time in his life, and the last time, he really cut the connection with his son. And this, I think, was the most horrible thing that Yeshua feared at Gethsemane. My beloved, Yeshua is calling us. God forgive me that I don't do what I'm preaching. Now I'm acting like a Pharisee. But may it bless you, at least you will do it, okay? I believe that all of us need to learn every day to do it, okay? What I'm going to say now. Yeshua is calling us to take the cross daily. And he did not mean crosses that many Christians put, yeah? Cross is execution. It's it's death penalty. To take the death penalty upon us every day. But my beloved, listen carefully. You can never go to the cross without experiencing first Gethsemane. Because what paved the way to Golgotha was Gethsemane. Without telling God, not my will, how are you? Not my will, but your will be done, the way cannot be paved to Golgotha. You want the resurrection with Christ?
You gotta die first.
There are no shortcuts. First Gethsemane, Golgotha, and only then the resurrection. And it should be a daily process. Woo!
Amen.
There is a price to pay. Yes, we are saved by grace, but we are not saved to play with God. There is a price. No wonder, and this is the most scaring, and please, if you want to pray for me, pray that God will save me by his grace. Because I always fear the scriptures in that day when he comes again. Many will tell me, in your name we prophesied, in your name we healed, in your name blah, 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 and he will tell them, depart from me, you evildoers. Friends, you cannot apply it on non-believers. He speaks on those, at least who think they are believers. Those who are so sure that they are even laying hands on sick people in the name of Jesus. Those who are so sure that they are talking even in tongues, and I don't look down to tongues. I believe there are tongues for today, tongues of angels. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Also concerning the gift of the Holy Spirit, we better know it and accept it. And maybe ask for him to give us the real gifts, not the show-off, not the American show-off. Okay? Or any other, not just American, but I meant, those who throw chairs in the air and say that we are charismatics. It doesn't impress me, and if it doesn't impress me, believe me, it doesn't impress God as well. God wants the genuine thing. But nevertheless, it exists. The gifts of the Holy Spirit exist today. Okay? But friends, It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you can give your body for burning, yeah? If you don't have the basic thing, love, you have nothing, am I right? You can be the best theologian who ever existed in the world, and you can go with your PhD to hell. And you will go to hell with your PhD, with all your honor, because never you had relationship with Christ, and you didn't let him sleep with you. Heretic! Christ wants to sleep with you, to make love with you? Yes! In the spirit. Because the word knowing is intercoursing, sleeping with. That's why you should not fornicate before you get married. I love you. Okay. No, honestly. Because if you are not fornicating, you will learn not to fornicate after idols. Because you keeping yourself for Christ is, for your future husband, boyfriend, I don't know if you have, yeah? It's like you keeping yourself for the day of marriage with Christ. It's the picture. Okay? Why? Because Christ wants to get to know us, to be one with us. You see, intercoursing with our wives is the picture of intercoursing in the spirit with God. Fruits of the spirit are the fulfillment of the fruits of the flesh. When I love my wife and I become one flesh with her, I have my little beautiful kids. When I intercourse with Christ, I have the beautiful gifts of the Holy Spirit. You understand? Please, come. I finished, by the way. Oh, before I finish, I need some dry blah 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 about the church. This is a church.
Some more of the garden. Standing here in the Garden of Gethsemane, looking back towards the eastern gate. Again, this eastern gate, not the gate Jesus walked through. This part was built during the Byzantine Empire and the Ottoman Turks. Below that is the gate that's also closed up. This is inside the church in the Garden of Gethsemane. Mural on the wall, the mosaic. Supposedly depicting where Christ prayed in the garden. Some of the window structure inside of the church. Ceiling with mosaic structures. This is the rock here, supposedly, that Christ laid upon when he was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. This inside of the Catholic Church. Here at the altar. This is the bell tower of that Catholic Church. Wanted to take a picture. Good sized bells.
His roots. You remember I told you, I didn't tell you this yet, but the prophets, Yeshua, all the Bible teachers never spoke in an abstractive way. Never spoke it, never blah blah in the air, yeah? They always talked in the level of the people who heard them, yeah? And the people could see the natural things, okay, upon which they are talking. For instance, he speaks, of course, about Messiah, yeah? Which will spring out of the root of Jesse, yeah? You know that Israel is symbolized by the olive tree, right? Look at this olive tree. Look, you see You see it? Out of the main trunk, out of the main trunk comes a shoot. Do you see it? Yeah? And sorry, a branch, yeah, will emerge from the trunk of Ishai, Jesse. A shoot will grow from his roots. You can see all the, like the little new trees, yeah? They belong to the same tree, but they are not taking their nourishment out of the trunk, but rather directly from the roots. You see where he took it from? Isaiah knew the olive tree. Okay? So he spoke about, of course, about spiritual thing, yeah? About the Messiah, okay? But nevertheless, it needed to have a natural, tangible, visible example. Okay?
She gave birth to God.
Yes, Rachel, the beloved woman of Jacob, gave birth to the last son, Benjamin, and then she died while giving birth, remember? Mm-hmm. So she has a burial tomb, traditional place. Soon I will show you. It looks like a fortress now because Bethlehem, we are entering Bethlehem. Welcome to Bethlehem through a checkpoint, Israeli checkpoint. Those are Israeli soldiers. Why do you need a checkpoint? Because sometimes there are closures or how they call it, curfews, yeah? When a terror attack takes place in Israel, then they close up. Friends, anyway, Constantine, why do I mention? Because he sends his mother, Helena.
This is a shot from the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem, across the Judean hills. Coming into the Church of the Nativity, looks like a huge fortress.
Watch your head, Jerry. I missed the other gate. Watch your head. Never mind. Watch your belly button. I can see what I'm going, you know. You will be. Everybody has to bow down.
Yeah. A blocked up entranceway into a small hole.
Don't get any ideas. I don't want to take care of the camel. I got no trouble with horses and cows. No more camels.
Let's put that other guy.
How about a knuckle sandwich? We've been thinking it over.
Hope it was Israeli.
What is this all about?
It's low because to keep the thieves.
Oh, that's right. This is the humble gate.
The horses.
I can't get a horse.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you.
For the oil.
Okay, friends. Another group comes usually just to see this first. Okay, friends. The only remains of the Helena's church are this mosaic, which was in the original church. By the way, you can see the letter there, the 20th century, down there. This is from the 4th century, about 325 to 28. Helena's church, Helena Basilica. Those columns belong to the Crusaders, okay? And even those mosaics, one mosaic depicts the genealogy of each one, the other one is Greek law. Latin Catholics, I mean Catholics. Okay, friends, listen. Shh. You're not allowed to shout. It's a holy place. Friends, come over here. What you are going to see in this cave, first of all, this is the cave where Yeshua is believed to be born. I tend to believe this is the authentic place, yeah? Because of the tradition goes back to 100 years after Yeshua. Friends, you enter on one side, you exit on the other side. Listen, it's not such a big cave, but it is divided between the two main denominations. The Catholics, which have their own basilica, we are going to visit it later on, St. Catherine Church, and we are now in the Greek Orthodox Church, okay? And both of them are maintaining the cave itself. While going down, look to your right-hand side, while going down, and you will see a niche, okay? A niche with a hole on the floor in the shape of a star, okay? Like the star which showed the way to the Magites, yeah? Friends, this is where they believe Yeshua's birthplace, okay? Just across it, you see 3 candlesticks, okay? And another niche or part of the cave. This is the barn where you will see the manger, where the baby was placed. Now, funny enough, it's only 1 meter or 3 feet different at the distance, yeah? But one belonged to the Greek Orthodox and the other belonged to the Catholics, okay? And all the ornaments were just donations of many artists, Catholic, both Greek and the Catholic artists which donated it to the cave, okay? The cave doesn't look really like a cave, as you will see, okay? So let's go, friends. You are allowed to take pictures and just take as long as you want. I hope not too long, and come out on the other side. I will wait on the other side. Come. Watch yourselves.
Supposedly that's the actual birthplace, according to the Greek Orthodox Church. This is the nativity area, supposedly, where the supposedly the manger was.
إنه يوصي ملائكته بك يحفظوك بجميع طرقك على أيديهم يحملونك لئلا تظلم بحجر رجلك.
فصل بشارة القديس يوحنا الإنجيلي المسيح. في ذلك الزمان
Looking out from that Catholic church here in Bethlehem where we just viewed the nativity area. In the background you can hear the Muslim cantor calling to people to prayer from a Muslim mosque about 2 blocks. There's the Muslim mosque and where that's coming. This is back across the valley from Bethlehem, back over in there. These trees that are right in here, that is an almond tree, We're going to pan to where we're going to see the shepherd's fields.
Of Israel in biblical times. The heart of Israel in biblical times is on the mountain between the desert and the oh, they will not attack him unless they will feel attacked by him. Alright. Anyway, my beloved, behave nice, okay, because otherwise the snakes might bite you. Okay, my beloved. Okay, where was I?
Right here.
But shepherd boy, get out of the way.
Yes. So if you remember, friends, in my
There was a snake.
in your place, in Hayes,
Was it really?
yeah, I told you that
Went
when
under
the
the
people of
rocks.
Israel behave themselves, okay, they would be influenced by the Mediterranean, which would bring the rain. When they would not behave themselves, they would be influenced by Moab, by the desert, okay? Friends, why do I say it? Because many times we hear in the Bible about families, right? And give me one story which is connected to a family. Exactly this is what I wanted, because you are watching now Bethlehem where it all started. Remember with Naomi? Pleasant, they crossed the Rift Valley on the way to Moab. Remember? And of course,
This is the valley that Ruth crossed through
okay.
over to Moab.
This is the biblical time. The city of David, Bethlehem, and the desert of Moab. Now I want you to look here. You see this green area which is like cut in the middle? Okay? Like slides on the surface, okay? Those are infrastructure which are taking place here to build a new settlement, Jewish settlement. For sure you heard about it in CNN and all those. Of Israel media. Both Bibi Netanyahu and Yasser Arafat are very wise here. Why? Because Yasser Arafat is against it. Yasser Arafat, of course, lied again, as usual, to all the media that Bibi Netanyahu takes Palestinian land. you know, but you can see it's a barren land. I mean, nobody lives here. But Yasser Arafat is also right because it is occupied territory, yeah? But nevertheless, Israel did not kick out any settlement, any Arabs, you know, in order to build here. So the story just
These are the shepherd fields. These terraces are the shepherd fields that have been here since the time of Christ.
Okay? Yeah, exactly. Even where I'm standing now, it could be. You see, thank God for not telling us exactly where it was. It just says the shepherd's field.
Otherwise, there'll be a church here.
There's Bethlehem proper where we were. Over in that area over there, where we went to the birthplace cave. It's all up there on that hill area, and we're back here, way over here across this valley where the shepherd's fields are. And you get the
Okay, my
there's
beloved,
Bethlehem,
back to the bus, we go to the Holocaust Museum now.
and we're back here.
Okay, friends, please gather. Make a circle, okay? Here. Friends, the section that you are going to see now, to experience now, by the way, will take you about 1 minute, 1 moment to experience. It's very short distance, you know, just to walk through it, okay? But nevertheless, the impact is great in my opinion. Friends, this is the newest section in the Holocaust Museum. It is called the Children's Memorial. Out of the 6, by the way, new researchers got to the conclusion that we have 7 million Jews, not 6, who were killed in the Holocaust, yeah? Out of these 7 millions, 1.5 were kids, children. When we say children, we mean from age 0, yeah, or 1 day, till about 18. Those are children, okay? My friends, just a minute. Where was I?
1.5.
Yeah, 1.5 were children, yeah? From different ages, different places over Europe. One family also from Beverly Hills, California, as you can see here. They lost their son Uziel. Uzi, my strength, El, God. God is my strength. Uziel, you will see his engraving over there, you can see it from here. Uziel died in the Holocaust, was killed in the Holocaust. They survived it. His parents, they are quite rich, wealthy in Beverly Hills. They donated millions of dollars to build these new sections, the Children's Memorial, in the 80s. It is built in a very special way. First of all, let's look at the outside. Look at the entrances. It's all underground. Look at the entrances. What it reminds you? With those sticks, you know, steel sticks, like a wire, like the wires which cover which enclose the camps,
wire.
the camps, yeah. You know, the ghettos, okay, the camps, the concentration camps. Later on, you can see up there, you can see very organized, chipped off or beheaded columns. Can you see? Stone columns, limestone. You see Evelyn over there? Over there, the columns, the stones.
yes.
But look at the excellent order there. Yeah? And what I'm joking.
Okay, can you do me a favor?
Shows you the male. By the way, it's 2 different artists who made the male and the women, yeah? But it came about, you know, that it's very similar. It's the same idea, at least. This is called the silent cry. And you remember the female she was so concentrated in her cry that no member of her face was shown. You remember? Was seen. The same with the male. First of all, how do we know that this is a male? He has his prayer shawl on him, and he has the phylacteries, those boxes with the with the parchments from the Bible. Yeah. Friends, he is so concentrated in his prayer, inside while the Holocaust, yeah, that no member of his face is seen.
There's an olive tree at the Holocaust Memorial with the olives on it. It's the entrance to the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem. Front looking like something out of a concentration camp.
Okay, friends, here we are at Corrie and Boom's tree. Friends, all the trees you see are dedicated to groups or individuals which helped the Jews while the Holocaust. Yeah, many of them, by the way, lost their lives, like Corrie and Boom's sister and mother, if you remember the story. Friend, why carob trees? By the way, this is the righteous Gentiles avenue. Okay, most of the trees are carob trees. Who knows why carob trees? Who can guess? Carob. Did you open once carob? The fruit itself, it's full of seeds. Yeah, this is chocolate carob, but it is full of seeds. Maybe I will find it. Like the seeds of Abraham. Yeah, and also one of the characteristics of the carob tree is that it can grow wherever you plant it, almost wherever you plant it, and whatever condition it will have. See the seeds? It's full of seeds. Okay?
And Herod the Great both used it when they were building the temples. First temple and second temple. And the rope, one end of the rope is wrapped around that log in the middle of the wheel, very tightly. Then the rope goes up through that pulley near the top. It was the Iron Age. They were able to use iron to make their pulleys to thread their rope through. The rope goes straight down through the pulley at the bottom, tied off. Every stone that was chiseled out of that stone quarry was put right there, one at a time. It was wrapped around with some rope, hooked onto the bottom hook, and then 2 or 3 very muscular, strong men would get inside the wheel, come to the left side, and just start to climb. And that rope starts winding around that log, lifting that stone right up off the ground. There would be a wooden conveyance here in the front, pulled by very, very strong animals. And all of the stones that conveyance would, think of it as a wagon without wheels. And they would just load all of this stone onto that conveyance, and it would be dragged to the nearby building site. This equipment was also used at the building site, used in the same way. They could get every stone and place it and seal it in the wall of every building they were building. It was a wonderful engineering idea, and it certainly worked. many thousands and thousands of years. Then you're in Israel. Even those who live here are tired of it. It takes a lot of energy to live in this country. Okay, is everybody here? All right, now, I hope that you will carry away from this garden, in your mind and in your memory, these three crosses, because this is the reality and the truth of Roman period crucifixions. Number one, this is a man-made cross right here. Somebody has artificially shaped that log to make it look the way it is. They dug a hole down there to slip that log upright into. The crossbeam is on the ground, simply because that's where it would start out if a person was to be crucified. They would be hammered, they would be nailed to that crossbeam, lifted up, and then the crossbeam would be lashed to the top of that upright. This is a tree that's been stripped of the branches. The crossbeam is right here, and it would have been lifted up to put there with the crucified person on it. But this little tree right here has the branches for the crossbeam. I hope I can help you to understand there were crosses along roadways for some people to look at all the days of their lives. There were crucifixions every day. They used crosses over and over again. There were days in a year when thousands would be crucified in one day. It was a common occurrence for humiliation, agony, and death. And it happened a great deal in Jesus' time, for sure, because of so many zealots who got themselves into trouble trying to overthrow the government. Now, remember what I told you about the height of a Jewish man. Any citizen would have fit on any one of these three crosses if they are the height that we are told that they are. Now let's just pretend Jesus was on this tree. Have you already been to the place where he was scourged? You haven't been there yet. Well, I'm sure you will get there. And we know for sure that is where he was scourged. And they beat him not only all over his back, but they beat him all over his front. They disfigured his face. He could never, ever, ever in this world have carried a whole cross. He was incredibly weak physically when they got through with him. 2 or 3 of the synoptic gospels say that a man named Simon carried the cross. Now, remember, the writers of the New Testament were writing to the people of their time. The people of their time knew exactly whatever terminology meant. It did not mean anybody carried a whole cross. It meant they carried the crossbeam. Now, the Gospel of John is different from the other Gospels in that it says in one verse succinctly, powerfully, strongly, they laid the cross on Jesus, the crossbeam. And I think for sure he tried his best to carry it, but he didn't get very far when he dropped it. And then Simon was called along as he was passing by to pick it up and carry it the rest of the way. Now, the nail did not necessarily go in here. The Romans said all of this is hand. The arm and hand are considered hand in Roman period. That nail could have been any place. The strongest place for it to be would be right here at the very bottom of the wrist, but it would still be called the hand by the Romans. It not only is strongest, but it's also the most painful place in all of the farm. Now, the nail did not go into the front of the foot. It went into the heel or the heel bone. In 1968, in northern Jerusalem, there was the remains of a crucified man discovered. And they found a nail in one heel bone with the olive knot still in place to hold it, hold the heel in place. Now, they even published that when they crucified somebody like that, they put both heels together and then into the wood, into the front of the upright. But then somebody had the bright idea to measure the nail. And they found out the nail was not long enough to go through both heels and into the wood. And so they have changed their minds and decided that perhaps there was a heel nailed to this side and a heel nailed to that side. Now, this piece right here is called the saddle piece. And the Romans put it on every cross. They put it extremely low on purpose. One of the things a crucified person was suffering from in agony was lack of air in the lungs. They were bleeding, and so their lungs were filling with fluid. They didn't have a lot of space, and they gasped and strangled hour after hour after hour. Once in a while, they got so weak, they just collapsed. But they were hanging from the nail up here, meaning the flesh was just ripping that much more, causing far more pain. Because the Romans put it so low, nobody could sit on it. And so they would gasp some more to get air in and pull themselves up as quickly as they could. Okay, now, I want you to understand that many people never got to the cross. The scourging could be so bad that they died from being scourged. But there are also people who could hang on the cross for days. I don't see how Jesus lasted until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And he even had enough air to cry out and scream out just before he gave up the ghost. It's a miracle to me that he could have lasted until that time. He had lost not only blood, but he had lost flesh and he had lost muscle. The two thieves had not been scourged. And the reason why we know that is because the Gospels say that their legs were broken. They were very much alive at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but all three of them had to be dead and in the tomb before Sunday. So they broke all the bones in both knees, which meant they were hanging from here. Now what happens to the lungs? They collapse. They suffocate. One more thing I'd just like to mention, that is this. The last verse of the 16th chapter of John, Jesus is speaking, and he said, in the world you're going to have tribulation, but please be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. And he did it by going through this and rising from the dead. And you know, and I know, tribulation can also mean persecution. And I'm sure God is able to give us all the power we need to go through whatever we have to go through. That would have been outside of both Solomon's temple and Herod's temple up there. 5 by 5 by 3 cubits. And this is where the blood sacrifice would happen. Also right up there is the wine press. And over in the front there is the vineyard watchtower, where the farmer would come many days before the grapes were ready to be harvested. And he would have weapons of war, and he'd be not sleeping, because he would be making sure that the wild animals didn't come in and destroy that vineyard before the harvest was accomplished. And you know, God uses, in the book of Isaiah, he uses the watchtower as a symbol of his watchfulness over us. And he says, I never slumber nor sleep. Okay, now, the sheepfold. I want you to especially notice these thorn bushes on top of the outside wall. If these sheep are in this sheepfold, and this is a home-based sheepfold, they would have piled high these very painful, strong thorn bushes, because the wild animals would think twice about coming over this wall to attack the sheep inside. And of course, there would be this little gate right in here. The shepherd would be here if the sheep were inside. Now, you'll notice there are stone mangers in here for food and water right over there. And of course, every home-based sheepfold would have a cave in it. Sheep were so important in Bible, all through Bible times. That cave would mean coolness in the summertime, warmth in the wintertime. Sheep meant clothing, food, and sacrifice at the temple. They took very good care of their sheep. Now, I hope everyone will be here sometime or other. You're going to read the 23rd Psalm. It's the most wonderful psalm for understanding human living and sheep. It's the growing season. There's wonderful grazing to be done on the hillsides now. The shepherd takes the sheep and takes them far away from the home base. He's going to be gone for 2 or 3 weeks. He knows exactly where to go. He knows where there's a spring that I was told that you were especially interested in. Okay? Now we'll go through this very quickly. Have you been to the gallery? You have been there. You're going to go. When you go to Capernaum, you're going to see some small oil presses, but you won't see this. This was the kind of an oil press that the Philistines used, and they had a very important oil-producing center at the height of their culture. And this is the way this works. This beam is laid into the stone wall. There is a huge, heavy grinding stone right under the beam. And below that would be bags of olives. They wouldn't use these kind of bags. They would use these kind of open bags that would not soak up all that oil, so you wouldn't have any wasted. And there would be no weights on here to begin with. And everybody at the oil producing center would come, line up all along here. Everybody would grab this thing and pull it and push it back and forth in the space you see there. Not to get the oil out yet, but to position the olives and make those olives as soft and mushy as it could be. And then, of course, the first weight would be put on right here. Half an hour later, 40 minutes later, that oil was really streaming down in here. This would be the first pressing, the highest quality. It would be dipped up and put into a pitcher like you see over there. And then this stays on for the second pressing, and this weight would be put on. And we're talking like 45 minutes or so. Still lots of oil coming out of those olives. This would be picked up, put aside in a fresh pitcher. Now the first pressing would be the very highest quality. The second pressing would be high, just not quite as high or special as the first pressing. This stays on, a third weight is put on, and it's low quality now. You're getting close to the seeds. It is low quality, but still useful. And then, of course, ultimately there would be 4 weights on, And this 4 weights would be left on overnight. Many, 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 many hours. You are at the seeds now. And there is oil in the seeds, but the most important thing inside those seeds is lye. L-Y-E. Lye is used for making soap. In Bible times, it was wonderful soap. They're making the same soap today. Nablus and Bethlehem are the 2 main places.
I like this one. So, beneath
Oh,
the...
yes, yeah. Here's a sample of it right here. Now, this really doesn't cost very much. It is very good for sensitive skin. Everybody can shampoo your hair with it, and it comes out wonderfully. Why am I telling you this? Because we sell it in the bookstore.
Passover table, we're seated.
Is there 33 of you, is that right? Yeah. 32. Good. Everybody? Come in, there's so many things. Do you think we should do that one more time? Yeah. I want you to remember this. Peace be unto you. And you say, and unto you peace.
And unto you peace.
Okay, peace be unto you. Unto you peace. Much better, much better. I think you'll remember. Okay, the next thing we do is ask the blessings. And there's a piece of unleavened bread on top of your bread baskets. Have bread baskets? Yes, there's one here. If you would take just a tiny little piece of the unleavened bread, a little more than that, and pass this around, and every one of you take a small piece from the bread basket.
Start
Ask
there.
the blessing. I do it in English so that you know what you're saying. When we teach this meal in Portuguese and Spanish, we do it in Portuguese and Spanish so they know what we're saying. And I have to tell you something funny. I was doing it with a group of they speak English. But I learned Israeli English. That's one of the first things we do.
extra.
So I said, we'll do it in English. Repeat after me the phrases. And they listened carefully and they said exactly what I said. But at the end I said, very good. And they all repeated very good. At least this is your language. Okay, we do it phrase by phrase. Blessed art thou, precious art thou, Lord our God. Lord our God. King of the universe.
King of the universe.
Who giveth us bread from the land.
Who giveth us bread from the land.
And eat the little piece of bread. And then we would like to have you put something in your glass, and I think Summer has not yet brought the wine. If you drink the grape juice, it's in the pitchers, and I'm going to go see where he has put the wine.
No, we didn't ask for
You
wine.
don't
so
want
it's
it?
okay.
Oh, perfect. All right. That's probably why it's
What's in
not
the
on
carafe? I
That's
have a
grape
carafe
juice.
here.
Grape juice.
And what's in the pitcher?
Grape juice.
So it's all grape juice?
Mhm.
Okay.
Our wine decanters are a different shape. Very good. I thought he forgot. Okay.
Go ahead.
So we'll put something in your glass. You may fill it. Or you may put tea in it. This is for the blessing, but you will be drinking the same.
It's all grape juice.
Everybody got some?
They already gave me a sign that it was all grape juice.
They did. Oh, wow.
She said that
And the blessing is very similar. Blessed art thou.
Blessed art thou,
Lord our God.
Lord our God,
King of the universe.
King of the universe,
Who created the fruit of the vine.
who created the fruit of the vine.
And then you drink a little bit. There are some things on the table that are specific to Passover time, and they help you to remember your days in slavery. As you know, every Jewish person today is supposed to feel that God brought him personally out of the bondage in Egypt. So some of these things remind you of those times to help you remember. In Jesus' day, the vegetables would have been garlic and onions and hot peppers. And if you ate those, you'd cry. Well, it helps you to remember your days of slavery. But we didn't want you to cry over dinner. So we changed your vegetables to bell peppers and cucumbers. Sometimes some of you may have carrots. This is so that you can eat dinner without tears. Also on the table is a bowl of something that looks like mud. This is Joseph. It's to remind you of the mud bricks of Egypt, made from applesauce, dates, figs, honey, cooked like apple butter, but it's very sweet. This helps you to remember your days in slavery because the Lord makes bondage sweet. Those specifically stand for dinner. Now, we made another change. This is your main meal. We want you to have a nourishing dinner and enough food, so the first course is soup. And we don't believe there was soup for Passover dinner. So that's something extra. You have probably already noticed that you don't have dinner napkins. You're supposed to imagine that you're wearing a long robe to this meal, and you will use the sides of your robe to clean. Tonight, you can lick your fingers, you can use the bread, or somebody else's t-shirt when they're not looking.
I got it right.
Pointing on me.
Okay, what are you doing, please? What a beautiful. And what a smell.
And since I told you there's going to be soup, you're probably wondering where the spoons are. We didn't find any in archaeology, so we're not giving you any, and tonight you drink your soup. When you were little, you asked your mother if you could drink your soup, and she said no, and tonight you can drink your soup.
Oh, eventually. You hear that, Mom?
You can also dip the bread in it, and you eat a lot of bread that way if you do, but drink your soup, whatever.
Next week,
Table. It has 3 sides, and you eat it in a reclining position. Our presentation has been put together with archaeology, history, customs of the times in the Bible, and so we're going to do a little bit from Josephus now. He tells us that there's an order of seating around the table, and that one of these wings of the table is more important than all the rest. And we never tell you where to sit, because we want the surprise look on your face when you find out who the most important people are. And it is these people here. Most important.
That's why they invited me to see them.
Nobody protested, did they? Okay, now, the people across the middle and the back are of medium importance. People coming down this side get less and less important. So you get to the gentleman on the end, and he's in the servant position. He is the one with the least rank at this meal. And those of you over here, we don't have enough room in this room to make 2 complete tables. So feel part of the group, but you can be the guests tonight, okay? Now,
We need 3 more soup.
3 more soups. He's coming right now.
Oh, 2.
Okay, 3 of you are important people here. Remember the night of the Last Supper, there was no servant at the meal. A servant normally can walk in and go to the center of this table and serve each person individually. But when the servant isn't there, they put the extra food in you. So you people would be somewhere around the edge, and all the extra vegetables and fruit and eggs would be in here. And 3 of you are responsible for getting the food for the table. The second person here, the second person there, and the second person here. You are considered host people for your wing of the table. And all you would do is crawl back, you're reclining, remember, and you would just back up and get the food and come back and take your place. Now, everybody puts Jesus in the middle. Probably not there. If you lived here in the 1st century and you heard the story or you read the story, you would know where Jesus is seated. The host position on the most important point of the table is where you would put Jesus in the 2nd position. Scripture says, and since you're all lying down on your left side, eating with your right hand, your back is to the person next to you all the way around the table. And in order to talk to someone, you have to lean your head back on their shoulder. The Bible tells us that John rested his head on Jesus' breast. It's to talk to him. And the only place John can be is where Rocky is. Because you're all lying down, this is the only place you can put John to lean back on Jesus' shoulder. At one point in the meal, Jesus said, one of you is going to betray me. And everyone said, is it I? And Peter said, it's not me, is it? And then Peter gets John's attention and says to John, ask Jesus who it is. And Jesus said, someone sharing the sop. The next time soccer comes in, he's going to be bringing you sop. Sop is really stew. And so when he comes in, you'll have the stew. And someone close enough to Jesus to share out of that same bowl of stew. Has to be the person in the third position. Now they always feel good. I don't want you to feel bad.
I didn't know that her name is Jude.
At one point, I had a woman in that position, and she was so upset she got up and wouldn't finish dinner. That is the guest of honor position, and Jesus has put Judas next to him because he knows that Judas does not have the right picture, and until the very last moment when Judas is there, he can still work to win Judas' heart. Scripture says if you're going to, John rested his head on Jesus' breast to talk to him. At some point in the meal, Jesus is going to be talking to Judas, resting his head on Judas' breast. Judas already knows that he has betrayed the Lord. Can you imagine the emotion in Judas' heart with Jesus resting his head on Judas' breast? Something very, very poignant, very, very nice happening here. Now, in case you felt sorry for this person in the end over here, this is Peter. You normally would put Peter on the lowest side of the table. That's not his personality. But remember, Jesus said, when you go to a banquet, take a seat on the lowest side and your host will move you up. Well, we think that Peter felt that Jesus was going to move him up. Peter and John got the dinner together. It's okay with Peter for John to be here. It is probably not okay with Peter for Judas to be there. But he's expecting to be moved up. And we don't think he moved him. Do you see how easy it would be for Peter to get John's attention? Easier to talk across than to the person beside you. We can toss an olive bed over, get John's attention, and talk to him. Best reason for putting Peter here is that the water pot, the basin, and the towels are here at this end. And the servant would be the one to do that, so we would have all of this next to him. The Bible tells us that Jesus washed the feet of his disciples. And you see how easy that is. You're all lying down, your feet are all in a ring around the outside. And it says when Jesus got to Peter, all the way around the table, when he got to Peter, Peter said, no, don't wash my feet. Peter knows he's in the position that should have washed the feet. He's embarrassed, he's feeling guilty, he's ashamed to see the Lord washing the feet. And it gives you a reason for Peter to say no. And this is where first century people would have placed those four people at the dinner. If you're lying on your left side, eating with your right hand, should remind you of another Bible story. Do you remember there was a man who had a withered right hand? And Jesus healed that hand. Well, how nice to give him back his hand. He can play with his children, he can get a better job, he can do all of these things. But the miracle is greater than that. Until this point, the man could not be invited out to dinner with his friends because he didn't have a hand to eat with. The right hand is the clean hand. The left hand is for less glamorous purposes. And you can't go out to dinner if you can't eat with this right hand. So the miracle is wonderful that Jesus put him back into community with the rest of his friends. And there's another Bible story that this should remind you of. Remember Simon invited Jesus to Bethany? Invited a number of other rabbis, and he's going to tell, all of them are going to get together and tell Jesus what a bad rabbi he is. The table would be shaped like this. Simon is wealthy, so the table would be a little taller, and each of the invited guests would have his own sofa on which to rest. But it's the same kind of table shape. Even in the Masada and the Roman camps down there would have tables shaped like this. Archaeology, there's some in New Testament Jericho, there's some in Nablus. Every time you see in the archaeology a place shaped like this, it's a table. This is the time to use the vegetables. They are stiffer, so you can dip into your stew. And when someone has asked you to pass something, the person who picks up the dish to do the passing says, you do me honor. because it's an honor for me to serve you. The second way to show honor to someone is to take a piece of meat from your dish and put it into the mouth of the person next to you. Would you like to try that?
Okay.
Good, please. You are showing honor to the person beside you, and you are also sharing the song.
What was the normal life expectancy in Lakers like? Because of dietary law and stuff like that?
Most of the time they were vegetarians.
So
Passover
that made
would
up
have
for the
lamb,
diversity.
and weddings would have beef, goat, whatever. But most of the time they didn't eat meat like we do. They ate it every day, 2 or 3 times a day. They only had it 2 or 3 times a year. So they were healthier. I can't say that you were free. The Romans were here, and the Romans weren't making it good for Jewish people. But at least you were in your own land, so you did eat this meal like that. The rabbi said, when you get to your own land, and you have so many more people, it's fine to have land. Anyone invited rabbis that are coming to tell Jesus how bad he is. What's she doing there? And I never asked the question until somebody gave me the answer. But the poor people come. It's all right to feed people. It is not okay to eat with them if they're not your social level. But the poor people come and they line the walls of the room. And they listen during dinner. And when the invited guests go home, these people are fed. And for the privilege of being fed, they tell Simon all evening long, "You're such a gracious host. Thank you for including us. How wonderful these guests are because you invited them and called them, talk to the guests and say you're so blessed to be in the home of this fine man." And all night long they chatter about the privilege of being there, and for that they get fed. And Mary is probably somewhere around the wall, close to the sofa on which Jesus is resting. And of course, you know, their feet are out in this big circle, away from the table, so she certainly could be near the wall at the end of the sofa. And it just tells you why she's there. And I had never asked that question until somebody gave me the answer. So it helps to pull the little details of the scriptures together for us. Any other questions I will try to answer? Okay. It's a meal covenant in which you have peace between the people who eat together. It is a forgiveness and reconciliation covenant. So if you and your best friend have an argument, you settle the argument and go to dinner, and neither one of you brings it up again. Completely finished. Very nice. If there are Bedouin tribes fighting each other, the government will often fix the table, fix the food, invite the two tribes to come. If they eat together, they stop fighting. If there's an accident in this country and you're involved in it, that person, maybe he has a broken arm, he's going to say to the village mediator, "I want the person who injured me to do something," and it's probably pay the hospital bills, maybe do some of this work. When the arm is well and you've done your part, the two families will sit down and eat together, and it's never mentioned again. So it also works in politics in this country. When Begin and Sadat signed the peace treaty at Camp David, when they finished signing, they shared a piece of bread that had salt on it. It's a very simple, modified meal covenant. There are villages in both countries, very poor, have only bread and salt. And they ate this bread, saying it's a symbol of their signing a peace agreement with each other. When Rabin signed the peace treaty with the King of Jordan, they also had a modified meal covenant, and when Peres shook hands with Arafat, no meal was shared. There is no final answer to the problem between the Arabs and the Jews, and Their meal covenant hasn't happened yet. So I would like to take you through the pages of the Bible and talk about the times when people ate a meal together. It begins in Genesis chapter 14. Abraham eats a meal with Melchizedek, and they have peace. Isaac signs a treaty with Abimelech, the king of Gerar, and they have peace. They eat a meal together and they have peace. Do you remember the stories of Jacob and Laban? Big story. How many times does Laban cheat Jacob? His wives, his cattle, his sheep, and his goats. And finally Jacob says, I've had enough, I'm leaving. And Laban says, eat a meal with me before you go, so there will be peace between us. When you get to the 23rd Psalm, it says, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. I used to think that meant I was eating a sandwich and the arrows were flying by. It means you've met your enemies, you've solved your problems, you're eating together, and no more enemies. Fine. When you get to the New Testament, you have Jesus eating with sinners. Eating with people is forgiveness and reconciliation. The rabbis know this, and they say, because they don't believe Jesus is the Son of God, that this is blasphemy. Had he not been the Son of God, the rabbis would have said you're making yourself unclean by eating with people of a lower status. They would not have said blasphemy. That he is forgiving them when he's eating with them. Remember Zacchaeus? Come down out of your tree, I'm going to eat with you. And after he's eaten with Jesus and been forgiven, he restores 4 times as much as he has stolen. That's proper behavior for a forgiven man. And Jesus' stories have this in it. Prodigal son's story is the perfect story to illustrate meal covenant. You know it well. I'd just like to tell it to you from a Middle Eastern point of view. The boy is probably 16, 17 years old. He decides he wants to leave home. So he says to his father, give me my inheritance. This is only done when the father is on his deathbed. So what he's really saying to his father is, you don't love me. I don't like it here. I hate my brother. Give me my money. Drop dead. And it's something we used to say in America when we wanted you to go away, oh, drop dead. It didn't mean anything. Here it means a lot. In Tehran, Iran, there is a Jewish community, and about 60 years ago, a young boy said that to his father, give me my money. And his father was brokenhearted, he's a medical doctor. It upset him so much that in 2 months he was dead. So it really is a serious charge. The older brother should have said to the father, please forgive him, he's just a child. And gone to his brother and said, he hurt Dad's feelings. You should apologize. And be the mediator. We have shuttle diplomacy today. We should have had shuttle diplomacy in this story. It happens all the time. It didn't happen here because the Bible tells us that the older boy got his too. The father divided it between them. The younger boy needs money. He's inherited land and animals and houses, and he needs cash. He goes to the village to sell it. When they find out what he's done, they are absolutely horrified. They simply buy what he has for sale, but their hearts aren't in it, and they don't give him terribly a lot of money. Takes what he can get and goes away to the far country. This need not have been far in distance to be far in culture and behavior. So he's gone. Wastes his money. And all of the Middle East versions say indulgent living, wasteful living, extravagant living. None of them say immoral living. This is an invention of the older brother. When his money is gone, he needs a job, so he goes to a citizen of the country. It's famine, and I do urge you someday to find a book and read about famine in the Middle East. The citizen of the country is wealthy, and many people are coming to him for a job. The very nicest way to say no to somebody is to offer them a job you know they will refuse to do. The citizen asks this nice Jewish boy to feed pigs, fully expecting him to say, I can't feed pigs. And the obligation is taken care of. The boy would rather feed pigs than go home. So he accepts the job feeding pigs. He would like to eat what they are eating. It is not nourishing to people. He's getting weaker and weaker. Finally he decides, if I don't go home soon, I won't be strong enough to go. My father's servants have enough bread and to spare, I'll go home. There are 3 kinds of servants. 2 kinds live on the family estate. 1 kind is a day laborer. He lives in town. He is a tradesperson. The boy wants to learn a trade, live in town, and pay back the money. He has not yet discovered that his father really loves him. Well, he's taking care of his dad. I'll go be a tradesperson. I'll pay it back. I won't live with my brother, that the community has something to say about this. He has broken some of their rules and they don't want him back. They have prepared a big clay pot. And when they see him coming, they put in burned corn, burned wheat, burned barley, put it down in front of him. Boys take big sticks and break it. Little kids grab the grain and throw it on him and yell at him, "You're not welcome in the village anymore." The big boys take sticks and beat him. If you are standing there, you can throw garbage and refuse all over him. And from this point on, you don't feed him, you don't give him anything to drink, and you don't speak to him. In the Middle East, it is a shame not to have roots, not to have family and a clan and a village. And he has risked all this by what he's done. The father sees this humiliating ceremony about to take place, raises down the hill, restores the boy to the family by putting on the ring, the robe, and the sandals. The village has yet to accept him back. And if the father does not fix the meal at the end of the story, the village never has to take the boy back. This is a reconciliation meal between the boy and the community. If they come and eat the meal, they are saying, "We also forgive your son." The oldest boy should have been standing behind the guest of honor, making sure he had the best piece of meat, all of the nicest things. The older boy would be barefoot, as symbolically saying that the honored guest and all of the other guests are more important than I am. He knows what this meal means. It's reconciliation, and he is not reconciled to his brother, who would be the guest of honor. So, the boy doesn't come. The next time you have in the scriptures, meal covenant, it is Jesus' Last Supper. "This is my body which is broken for you. This is my blood which is shed for you. This do in remembrance of me." And it is Jesus' Last Supper for us. Every time we take part in communion or Eucharist, we are accepting his forgiveness and his reconciliation. Revelation 3:20, "I stand at the door and knock. If any man hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with him." Had you ever asked yourself, what does it mean, I will come in and eat with you? It is Jesus' personal invitation. Anytime we need to be forgiven, invite him in, and he will forgive and he will reconcile. Revelation 19 has the final banquet in heaven. All the reconciliation is finished. And from Genesis to Revelation, we have meal covenant, eating together, forgiveness, and reconciliation.
Praise God.
Now, we think this is the most important thing we do. We invite you to fix a meal like this for your churches at home. With things in the bookstore that can help you, slides, video, cassette tape. But it's important. There is probably not a church in the world that doesn't sometime or another have it at people who disagree. Everybody's smiling. I think that happens to all of it. And this is a lovely way. It's okay to disagree. It is just not okay to let the disagreements take you away from the fellowship. And this is a lovely way to bring warmth and unity to our churches around the world. So we'd like to suggest
share their meal together every time they meet.
every time you meet, you're sharing a meal, you're offering forgiveness and reconciliation to each other. Very nice thing to do.
First spot on earth. First city to be conquered by Joshua, son of Nun, by the Israelites. Remember? My beloved, guess what? We spoke about patterns, right? You know what was the first city what was the last city to be conquered by the Israelites and became their capital? Jerusalem. What is the last city the Yasser Arafat won? Jerusalem. All the rest he got. You see the pattern? Satan is God's counterfeit. Anyway, friends, we are crossing now the Rift Valley. Look at the blossoming of the Rift Valley, and don't take it lightly, because it's very, very hard to grow anything. Okay, friends? It's a very salty area. And you know, just to start plowing, they need to irrigate this place before to push the salt down about the mark of the lowest spot on earth. 13 feet below sea level. 13 feet below sea level. Sorry, thank you so much. 1300, thank you. Of course, 1300. And friends, soon we are going to ride by Qumran. It's the site where it is believed that one of the Jewish sects in Yeshua's Yisrael served in the Israeli army. They couldn't accept him. By the way, you know that Adi is very talented? What do you say about his driving skills? Come on, the truth. Same plane, almost the same plane, to cut water channel and connect the Red Sea. If you look at the map of Israel, you know what I'm talking about. You know, Gulf of extracted from the Dead Sea.
This must be the edge of the rift, is it?
Yes, Kay, yeah. This is of course the edge of the Rift Valley, yeah. And there you can call it the cliffs, I call it the cliffs of the Judean wilderness. Because we came via the Judean wilderness, right? And now we are in the Rift Valley. So between us here and Jerusalem lies the Judean wilderness. You have questions? And you can see also a kind of a snake path, a path which winds like a snake, you see? Goes up, this is the snake path built by the...
Over here.
That's the cable car at the top. We're going to ride up, going up to the top of the Masada. Be up there after a few moments. Ride.
Sounds like an airport.
By the way, are they still here back there?
I think they
Look at the wind gauge right there, see it? Just look up, Sharon. You're not looking up.
They got fined $10 million. The Pilots Association. It's illegal strike. They filed the union. They threatened them with a $10 million fine.
Yeah. It's not very, at least they have resting spots there, see
They
it?
were doing it illegal. I mean, they could strike illegally, but they can't do what they were doing.
It looks better from here than it does on the ground.
They fined them big time.
Gross fine,
So who will pay? They will pay themselves.
The Pilots Association, it's a union.
Are we walking down?
But for sure it will damage the ring.
Yeah.
Well, see, the pilots belong to the union, and they have to pay union dues. Oh, we are. It'll damage their funds for using
Number
something
2.
else, yes.
What, Valentine party?
Well, if it's a free strike, then we're gonna
Seems like we're almost there.
I want you to count to till 3, but when I say, okay? Do you know how to count to 3? Well, we will see.
Hebrew or English?
We will see. Okay, are you ready?
Ready?
Okay.
Why are we doing 1, 2, 3?
I will give the pace. 1, 2, and 3. I got you the problematic one.
It's the Dead Sea. On top.
Let me talk a little bit. I'm paid for talking, so start with my job. What a job, huh? Friends, so the story I've already told you, the story of Masada and what made Masada so famous. At least for those who are not asleep. You heard my introduction, you heard about the massive suicide that took place here. Welcome to Masada. You are on the top of Masada. We are about about 200 to 300 feet above the Mediterranean, above sea level, and add another 13 or 1200 feet above this sea, the Red Sea, okay? So we're about 1500 above this sea, and and about 200 above the Adult Sea, the Mediterranean. Okay, this is the elevation that we are in. I just want to show you what we are going to do today. By the way, this is a book that I do recommend you, Living in the Time of Jesus of Nazareth. Excellent book. It looks like a children's book, but I'm anyway a child. But I like it. I like it because the drawings, the beautiful drawings, no pictures. They didn't have cameras back then, but drawings, beautiful drawings, like Masada here, and we are going to use it later on. Friends, we are here right now. We came above the snake path. Can you see it? Yeah. Okay. And now you don't see it. We came above the snake path, so we will need to do something about it. And now we are here, over here, okay? We will visit not all the sites of Masada because it's impossible. By the way, in the tour guiding school, they took us from sunrise to sunset almost. We rolled every stone. It was quite boring, believe me. So here we give you in the next 1 hour or so the highlights, okay? And what are the highlights? We are going to go through this, via this corridor, number 4. You see a corridor in between? Those are the storehouses. We are going to be here. You see the storehouse at Masada and solve the food problem. Then we are going to see, to view the 3-story palace, private palace of the northern palace that Herod built here. This is the northern stage. Remember the 3 steps? We are going to view it from the upper step. You see, Bob, you are pulling all the worst out of me now. You are going to pay for it. Okay, my beloved, where was I at all,
He
Bob?
told me to ask the question.
I said, what do you think that is? Can you not think, you Americans? Of course it's flew over here. And landed, with a parachute. No, there is a crane, or not crane, another cable over there, and they bring all the stuff. You will see it near the ramp. Okay, where was I at all? Yeah, the palace. Looking down at the palace, and then on the way, I'm not sure, it's quite hectic as you saw, and this is only the beginning. You will see when we leave the site, the line to the camel car. Friends, we are going to see also the Roman bath, or the sauna. The origins of your sauna, what you know today is a sauna, is the Roman bath, okay? And we are going to see a beautiful one. By the way, most, if not all, the remains that you see are dated back to Herod the Great, okay? Remember, he turned it into a palace to tree. Most of the buildings, most of the remains, and you will be amazed how well they were preserved, are dated to his time, to Herod's time. Later on, we are going to sit in a very old ancient synagogue dated back to Yeshua's time, probably built by Herod before Yeshua, which means while the temple was still existing in Jerusalem, there were many, we know it from the Bible, there were many synagogues all around. One of them is on Masada. We are going to sit there, and then I will read the Bible, okay? In the synagogue. Later on, we are going to end the visit by viewing the ramp over here somewhere, the ramp through which the Romans broke in. Time permits, I will take you to show you a beautiful piece of mosaic.
This is the storehouse area on top of Masad that they had, going through the fortress of Masad, dating back to 73 AD.
Who's joining you? Oh. It's in there.
When it's called what?
Joanna gave Dawn something to put in there.
Then we are now in this corridor, number 4. And there are 2 sets of rectangular long rooms, as you could see one example over there. Remember I told you to look to the right? Those are the storehouses. And I would like to ask you, so many storehouses, about 15 in number, big, huge one. To store what?
Grain.
Grain. Do you see any possibility to grow something here?
No. I'm sure they brought it.
Well, they used to deliver in helicopters, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's how they got the tractors up there.
Yeah, okay. I told you already, I'm disappointed. Because I told you tractors are only known from the Crusaders.
Crusaders. Write that down.
In Israel, I mean the holy ones. In Israel. Other places we don't know. So anyway, friends, come on.
Water.
To store water, no. For this we have cisterns. Okay?
Well, these are the brothers.
My beloved, remember I asked him when he said grain rightfully? I told him, I just cancelled him immediately. I said, come on, how can you? I just trapped him. Because you remember I told you that they didn't have any lack of water? They had swimming pools here. You are now just leaning on the back of a bathhouse. Roman bath, sauna, and soon we will go there. Friends, they didn't have any problems. Just understand that all the northern, from the middle to the northern edge, they had olive, they had crops, of course not much, yeah. But whenever you bring water, it's a principle. Whenever you bring water, you can grow in almost anything. By the way, you know what is the modern lesson or proof? David Ben-Gurion. If you read the history of Israel, David Ben-Gurion thought about looming the desert, the Negev. He said, without the Negev, we will not have safe borders in the south. We cannot. He was a man of vision. I wish Bibi Netanyahu and others would be people of visions and not people of the chair and the fat salary. Friends, he was a man of vision. He was a crazy dictator, by the way. He had his weaknesses, if you read.
The line you see is separating what the original stones were to what has now been added.
And it's being a spray paint they use.
In a reconstruction.
Yeah.
That's got over there. Who is the last one? I need to know who is the last one so I can see every time and that you can see vividly how it looked. Beautiful. It remained so beautifully preserved. You will see. Friends, anyway, it had 4 rooms mainly. Dressing room, you see all the frescoes, all the beautiful, you know what, frescoes, yeah? While the plaster is wet, you color on it. And you draw a picture of it, and it preserves itself for a long time. It's a method of, artistic method. Here, because you spend some time, chatting while getting undressed, yeah? Because you do it totally undressed, naked, yeah? Friends, so you need to have some nice walls, nice pictures, nice mosaic, yeah? So this is a nicely decorated room, the dressing room. Then you get to number 3. Why it is number 3? It's the lukewarm room, but before, just while entering the lukewarm room, you get dip yourself down at the cold bath. Frigidarium, that's where we have the word refrigerator. Okay? Oh no. What I feel came upon me now. Children, it's good. Okay, friends, you would dip yourself here, but look here very carefully. Here they don't have any frescoes, nothing. Because here you don't spend much time. No. You dip yourself and you go out, yeah? Here you get your spoils, I mean massage and all this. And then the main room is the sauna room. And how you create the sauna, the steam? The steam. Friends, the floor is a suspended one, suspended floor, which means it is built on little pillars. Some of them are made out of clay. Clay can absorb heat. And the only connection with the furnace room, where you would lit the fire, by the way, on coals. What would be the coals back then? Manures. Dry manures. Not stinky, but very good. Much better than the coals that we use today. Okay? So, friends, the only connection between the furnace room and the sauna room would be underneath the floor, you see? All the heat would come under, and in this specific bathhouse, as you will see, also under the frescoes there were pipes, clay pipes. So the heat would go underneath the plaster and underneath the floor, and the only thing remained to do is to send your servant, your slave, with a bucket of water. He would spread the water on the floor and the steam would come up.
Here's some of the original mosaic that was inside of the baths.
כאן, יש כאן שרידים שפספס, פעם כל הרחבה הזאת
זה של מדינת ישראל, לא?
לא, זה שרידים מקוריים. זה שרידים מקוריים של הפסיפה שהיה כאן, שבעצם...
We're going to be entering